Welcome to Startup Brainframe, where we explore cross-domain synthesis for startups who want to build the future. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into, well, a really unexpected guide to resilience and adaptability for founders, the journey of Arya Stark. We often think of her quest for freedom, mastery, and adventure as, great entertainment, but we're going to show you how it actually offers incredibly sharp lessons. Lessons in brain science and strategic thinking for anyone out there building the future.
It really is striking, isn't it, how Arya's fierce ambition, her sort of relentless drive to forge her own path, so perfectly mirrors the spirit of countless founders. So we're going to walk through specific, memorable moments from her story, not just to pull out general life lessons, but really to extract actual neuroscience insights and practical takeaways you can apply directly to your startup journey. Think of this as a blueprint for understanding how being a misfit, making those tough choices, and embracing relentless adaptation are not just traits, but neurologically honed assets.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting right at the beginning, back in Winterfell. Arya is this young girl constantly feeling out of place, right? Dreaming of swords, while her sister Sansa focused on, well, more traditional things. She was always being told she wasn't the lady she was supposed to be. That internal conflict, not fitting the mold, that must have been huge. What's actually happening in our brains when we feel that kind of persistent social dissonance?
Right. That feeling of not quite fitting in, that constant internal nudge that's processed by your anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC. Think of it as your brain's conflict monitor. It flags social and emotional distress, like, the discomfort of rejection or not conforming. But here's the really fascinating part. For misfits like Arya, these repeated social challenges aren't just uncomfortable. They actually serve as a kind of forge. They can enhance neuroplasticity in the prefrontal cortex. That's your command center for planning and decision-making, and also in the default mode network.
The default mode network.
That's the system that kicks in for self-reflection and creative problem-solving when your mind isn't laser-focused on a specific task. It sort of wanders productively.
So it's literally rewiring your brain from those experiences.
Exactly. It's not a weakness. This process can make these brains incredibly adept at, say, pattern recognition, nonlinear thinking, challenging assumptions. So the key for you as founders isn't just, be different. It's understanding that your misfit wiring might actually grant you a neuro advantage. You spot market gaps, solve problems in ways others, maybe wired more for conformity, simply can't. That friction creates your edge.
That's a really powerful way to frame that misfit energy. But, being a founder often means making choices that are anything but comfortable. I'm thinking about Arya having to let Nymeria go, that scene.
Yeah, tough one.
Right. After Nymeria attacked Joffrey to protect Arya, Cersei demanded the direwolf's death. So Arya takes her companion deep into the woods, and with tears in her eyes, she forces Nymeria to run away to save her life. Just gut-wrenching. From a neurological view, how do we make those kinds of make-or-break decisions, and how can founders maybe prepare for them?
Well, that scene perfectly illustrates the intense inner battle. You've got the limbic system, our primal emotional core screaming for attachment, protection, wanting to hold on to what we love. But then on the other side, you have the prefrontal cortex deploying logic, strategic foresight, and actively inhibiting those primitive impulses to achieve a greater, longer-term goal.
So it's a literal brain battle.
It is. It's the essence of emotional regulation playing out. For founders, this means actively training your prefrontal cortex to strategically override those limbic cries when critical long-term decisions are needed. It boils down to second-order thinking, recognizing that a tough choice, now letting go of a future, maybe even a team member, might be the only way your company survives and thrives later.
Actively training the brain to prioritize the future, even when it hurts in the moment. Okay. That leads nicely into Arya's training with Syrio Forel. Totally revolutionary for her. He taught her water dancing, right? Forget heavy northern steel. The sword is not a stick of iron, he'd say. It's an extension of your arm. It was all about balance, agility, completely new paradigms.
Yeah.
Moving beyond just brute force. How does that kind of novel agility-based training literally reshape the brain? And what's the lesson for founders stuck in, old ways of thinking?
Syrio's approach is just a fantastic example of neuroplasticity in action. Novel learning experiences like that dramatically reshape the brain, forging new neural pathways. Agility-based training isn't just building muscle memory. It actually wires faster, more flexible neural connections. It enhances your brain's processing speed and its adaptability.
Faster and more flexible.
Okay. Yeah. So for founders, the implication is profound. You simply can't overcome challenges with outdated methods. Real innovation stems from embracing these new frameworks, new perspectives, moving beyond the thinking that created the problems in the first place. You're not just changing tactics, you're literally rewiring your brain and maybe your whole team's approach. It's about finding that smart movement over just sheer effort.
Smart movement over sheer effort. Like that. And Arya wasn't just learning to fight, she was developing incredible street smarts, purely from survival. We see it again and again, like tricking Lannister soldiers to save Gendry, or her calm, calculated answers to Tywin when she was disguised as a boy, even using Valar Morghulis to get passage to Braavos. What's happening neurologically that lets someone develop that quick reasoning under intense pressure?
Well, when you're under stress, your brain doesn't just freeze up. Sometimes it can actually sharpen certain executive functions. Think quick reasoning, persuasion, rapid adaptation. This process activates and strengthens specific neural pathways, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, enhancing your ability to process info and respond effectively in these high-stakes moments. It's your brain's survival mechanism becoming a finely tuned instrument.
So the pressure actually sharpens the tool.
It can, yes. For you, the founder, this translates directly into skillfully navigating maybe dozens of no's until you finally get that yes. It means constantly adapting your approach, using quick wit and determination, just like Arya had to do to survive and keep moving forward.
Okay, building on that, let's talk about the art of conversation, specifically those tense scenes with Tywin Lannister at Harrenhal. Here's this young girl, hiding her identity, sitting across from arguably the most formidable man in Westeros.
Incredible scenes.
Right. Her responses were always so carefully calculated, revealing just enough, never too much. She actually earned his admiration for her wit, while he had no clue who she really was.
Yeah.
What network lets us navigate such complex social situations to, read and subtly influence others?
Yeah, this is where your theory of mind network really comes online. It's a specialized network involving parts of your prefrontal cortex and temporal lobes that allows you to mentally step into someone else's shoes. You simulate what they might be thinking, believing, predict their intentions. For Arya, it wasn't just about reading Tywin. It was strategically anticipating his thoughts to control the information she revealed.
Like playing chess with words.
Exactly. And for founders, this means in any boardroom, any negotiation, any pitch, you're not just presenting facts. You should be actively mapping the other person's mental landscape to guide their perception of your value. It's a vital tool for survival and, frankly, for strategic influence.
And that conversational agility pairs so powerfully with mastering leverage, like Arya did with... Remember, she freed him. He offered her 3 lives, which she used strategically. But later, when she and her friends were cornered, she just brilliantly flipped the whole negotiation. She tells him, unless you help us escape, I'll say your name next. He had absolutely no choice.
How does the brain even pull off that kind of audacious, resourceful thinking under pressure?
Well, high-stakes situations like that profoundly engage the brain's reward prediction error system. This involves areas like the ventral striatum and involves dopamine pathways. It's not just about adrenaline pumping. This heightened arousal actually sharpens your attention and significantly boosts cognitive flexibility. It literally helps your brain consider novel solutions and make incredibly resourceful decisions under immense pressure.
So the pressure cooker can actually spark creativity. For founders, the lesson is crystal clear. Negotiation isn't just about the resources on the table. It's about understanding and leveraging influence. Thinking outside the immediate constraints, that conversational agility and leveraging influence, that's a truly powerful asset.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. Let's talk about holding true to your core identity. In the House of Black and White in Braavos, the faceless men tried to strip Arya of everything she was. She was blinded, beaten, forced to obey, become a no one. Yet she kept needle hidden. That little sword was her secret reminder of who she truly was. She refused to completely let go. What's the significance of preserving that sense of self, especially when external systems are trying to mold you?
That's such a critical point about resilience and identity. Rigid systems, whether it's the faceless men's training, a specific corporate culture, or even the pressures from an accelerator program, they can constrain your cognitive flexibility. They limit autonomous decision-making, which relies heavily on the prefrontal cortex. But true resilience often emerges from preserving that strong sense of self. And that's supported neurologically by self-referential processing in your medial prefrontal cortex.
Medial prefrontal cortex.
It helps maintain your autobiographical memory, your self-concept, your core values. It allowed Arya to kind of balance the external demands with her intrinsic identity. The lesson for founders is vital. While institutions, schools, accelerators, investors might try to mold you, it's absolutely crucial to keep your core identity and vision untouchable. It's your hidden needle. It's your authentic differentiator.
Your hidden needle. Love that.
Hmm.
And what happens when that core identity and those past experiences meet a new challenge? We see it perfectly when Arya finally outthinks the waif. Arya knew the waif was coming for her. She prepared, specifically using her past experience of blindness to her advantage, fighting in the dark, and in that final duel she slices the candle, plunging them into darkness, turning her former disadvantage into the key to victory.
Classic Arya.
Right. So from a neuroscience angle, how can pain or perceived weaknesses be transformed into such powerful advantages?
This is a beautiful example of what psychology calls post-traumatic growth. Adversity isn't just endured, it can be actively rewired into mastery. Your brain adapts, creating new neural pathways based on those challenging experiences. Arya's temporary blindness forced her sensory system to adapt, making her, say, more attuned to sound, subtle shifts. When the waif attacked, Arya didn't just remember her past pain, she accessed the neurologically forged skills developed during that hardship.
Ah, okay. The skills, not just the memory.
Precisely. Your past hardships, your scars, they shouldn't be buried. They should be transformed into a vital toolkit for future success. A founder's past struggles. They're often the fertilizer for their sharpest strategies and most innovative solutions.
That reframes failure completely. And looking at Arya's whole journey, it's just relentless adaptability, isn't it? She's with family, then the Hound, the Brotherhood, the Faceless Men, then solo back to Winterfell. Each group, each situation, totally different. Demanding she shed an old skin, grow a new one. What's the basis for that kind of constant fluid adaptation?
Well, the ability to fluidly shift mental models, approaches, to shed those old skins and grow new ones, that's fundamentally driven by cognitive flexibility. And cognitive flexibility is one of the strongest predictors of resilience we see in individuals and, in organizations. It's your brain's capacity to easily transition between different thoughts, actions, or strategies based on what the environment demands.
So it's like mental agility.
Exactly. For a startup founder, this means you simply must adapt as fluidly as Arya switched identities and roles. In today's rapidly changing landscape of innovation, cognitive flexibility isn't just nice to have, it's your superpower. Change is the only constant. You adapt, or, well, you face obsolescence.
Adapt or face obsolescence. Stark, but true. So where does all this lead? At the very end, Arya's asked what's next. No titles, no land. She wants to go west of Westeros, where the map stopped. As the sails unfurl, her eyes just light up with pure curiosity. What is it about the human brain, especially maybe the founder's brain, that compels this sort of insatiable desire for the unknown?
That pull towards the unknown is deeply wired into us. Your dopaminergic system, a key part of the brain's reward circuitry, actively rewards novelty and exploration. When you encounter something new, step into uncharted territory, your brain releases dopamine. It creates a sense of pleasure, motivation. It's why exploring feels good. Curiosity fuels motivation far more sustainably than just seeking comfort or following predetermined paths ever will.
So dopamine drives discovery.
You got it. For founders, this is your inherent drive, isn't it? Your primary role isn't to follow a map someone else drew, it's to draw a new one. Driven by that insatiable curiosity for what lies beyond the known, constantly seeking out those dopamine hits from discovery.
What an incredible journey to unpack, boiling down Arya's epic story into these actionable insights for our neurofounders listening. Okay, let's try to distill this into 3 key takeaways for you. First, turn your misfit energy into fuel. Remember that unique perspective. It isn't a flaw, it's a competitive advantage, forged by those early challenges. Identify it, lean into it, build your company's strengths around that unique wiring. Second, practice emotional override. Actively train your prefrontal cortex. Help it strategically outthink and control those limbic impulsive reactions when critical decisions are on the line. Make the tough, strategic choices for long-term survival. And third, ritualize reflections. Just like Arya repeating her list, maybe dedicate just 5–10 minutes at the end of each day. Reflect on events, identify what worked, what could be better, how your brain might adapt for tomorrow. It strengthens those adaptive neural pathways.
And maybe one final thought to leave you with. Just like Sirio taught Arya that agility beats brute force, ask yourself, where in your startup are you relying purely on sheer effort instead of finding that smart movement? This isn't about cutting corners at all. It's about sharpening your flow, freeing up mental energy for what truly matters, letting your brain work smarter, not just harder.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for your time, investment into our show. See you in the next episode.